Hi Saints, welcome back to my channel. So I've been doing a series on my channel called The Brilliance of Hannibal. And the way this is basically a preface into why we've been doing this video for today. So I got some tea and it's so hot, oh my god. Lemon ginger tea, it just hits every single time. Guys, I definitely recommend it. It's great for your immune system. And overall, it's very cleansing, and I think it helps your digestive system too. I'm not sure, but it tastes good and it's just the best. So I've been doing a series on my channel called The Brilliance of Hannibal, which I'm very proud of because I love that freaking show. And the way I basically do it is I've watched the series 2 or 3 times already, so I'm very acclimated with the premise, the characters, all of that. But I spend one day dedicated to each episode. So I'll spend one day watching it and kind of writing how I've interpreted that episode as a person who's binged it prior and as a person who's now isolating one episode for one day. So I'm able to give both perspectives. And in doing so, I'll do research about Hannibal, and the show itself kind of allude to, at least in the beginning episodes, will always allude to how Hannibal Lecter is a psychopath. So I was doing a little bit of research for episode 4, and I saw a lot of questions about discussing basically Hannibal Lecter and whether or not he's a psychopath. And I was curious because what determines if a person's a psychopath? I get it, you kind of have to go through the medical professionals and they dictate it through tests. But I'm like, is there any test that we can take so we can see if we're a psychopath? And I found a couple, and I just found they were very interesting. This quick disclaimer: I know for a fact, 1, that I'm not a psychopath. 2, I want to make sure I say that even if you are a psychopath, that's okay. Suffering from psychopathy and any personality disorder or mental disorder isn't something you should be ashamed of, and it doesn't automatically equate to you being a violent or bad person. So yes, so I got a couple quizzes pulled up that I really want to get into, that I was very curious. This is a very lighthearted video. I really hope you guys don't take it too seriously. But the very first test is called a Psychopathy Spectrum Test by idrlabs.com, and the very first thing that they had on their website, which I thought was interesting, was this disclaimer. It says, this test provides information on psychopathy for educational purposes only. The information is provided as is and should not be construed or constitute professional services or warranties of any kind. For more, please consult our terms of services. They're basically telling you, please don't self-diagnose using this test. This is exactly what we're gonna do today, guys. The Psychopathy Spectrum Test. Based on the work of Associate Professor Michael R. Levinson, the psychopath test is a scientifically validated instrument for measuring a person's degree of psychopathy. It is widely used to assess psychopathic traits in non-institutionalized persons. Us. Do you have psychopathic tendencies? For each of the following items, indicate how well it applies to you below. They have 5 options, and they have it in terms of thumbs up, thumbs down, and in between. I'm guessing it's very well, kind of well, in the middle, doesn't really apply to you, or it doesn't apply to you not that much, or it doesn't apply to you at all. And the very first question is 27 questions. The very first question says, I have been in a lot of shouting matches with people. No, I don't shout. I rarely raise my voice unless I'm in a happy mood nowadays. I only raise my voice when I'm excited. I don't shout. I haven't. So I'm gonna say I have been in a lot of shouting matches with people. It doesn't really apply to me. Sorry, the tea is so good. It says, what's right is whatever I can get away with. No. I have such a guilty conscience all the time, to the point where I tend to overthink things. I overthink and criticize myself so much, which is why I'm so proud of the fact that I even have a YouTube channel, because I'm so glad I have something that's pushing me out of my comfort zone in that way. But I criticize myself so much, and even the things that I think realistically I can get away with without causing harm to other people, or it even being something, you know, it still weighs so heavily on my conscience. So no, what's right is whatever I can get away with. I think the answer is, I think I'm gonna put like doesn't apply. I'm not gonna put doesn't apply to me at all, because everything is based on perspective, and what I thought might have been okay, someone else might not have thought it was okay. So I'm gonna say like no. I don't plan anything very far in advance. I used to have like plans and set times and dedicated hours to certain things. Now I go with the flow. I don't know what I'm doing in any second or any minute of the day. I don't know what energy I'm going to have when I wake up, who I'm gonna be. I don't even know what possible mood I could be in just based on what I ate for that day. Like this tea right now, bussin'. And I was in a very neutral mood earlier. Now I'm in a very great mood. And I don't plan anything in advance anymore. So I'm gonna say it doesn't really apply to me. I find that I am able to pursue one goal for a long time. Well, this one is a little bit difficult because I think it's yes and no. If I'm really interested in something like writing, for example, I'll pursue it wholeheartedly, but it's like one of those things that's constant but isn't at the same time. It's not something that I spend a consistent amount of time on. It's something that I always revisit or I always go back on. I can't quite let it go. But I do have certain things that I pursue long term. So I am able to do that. I mean, yeah. I think the answer is it applies to me pretty well. Most of my problems are due to the fact that other people don't understand me. Oh gosh, this is a hard one because yeah. I feel like I have a neighbor and he sometimes go out into his balcony and he'll just stand there, you know, de-stress and take a smoke break. And it just made me think about my friend. I used to have a friend and we would always be on our balcony as well and look at him and just this understanding without saying anything, just the understanding between us. So it's just so interesting to me because I don't have that friend anymore, and so I'm not on the balcony anymore, but I see him. That was an unnecessary tangent, but it says most of my problems are due to the fact that other people don't understand me. Yes, the answer is definitely yes. I feel very misunderstood about certain things, and in part it's my fault because if I don't care enough, I won't elaborate on anything. I rather a person continues with their thoughts and opinions unless I care about that person, what that person thinks about me, or I care just about being right. Because, you know, I'm a human being and I'm a Virgo. Like, I like being right. So I'm just like, Google and you'll see. I do think a lot of people don't understand me, but it's not because of their fault. I think it's because I don't elaborate in instances where it would be in my benefit to elaborate. So I think it kind of applies to me very well. When I get frustrated, I get very angry very quickly. No, because when I'm frustrated, I tend to have panic attacks. If anything, the frustration causes me to like literally have anxiety. So I don't think I automatically get angry. And I'm a type of person who gets angry slowly. I don't get angry pretty quick. I get angry pretty slow. So I would say no, it doesn't really apply to me personally. I am often bored, yes. But I always find something. I am often bored, but I always find something to do. I sometimes find myself admiring a really clever scam. I love a good scam. And especially recently, there's been a lot of documentaries about scammers, but I prefer scams where they target people who won't necessarily like have their whole lives affected by it. Like, I hate scams where it involves harming people who are already vulnerable. I don't like that. But seeing people trick the patriarchy and trick all of corporate America, I love, freaking love it. So I'm gonna say yes, it kind of applies to me. Love is overrated. Yes and no. My thoughts on like romantic relationships at this moment is very negative. I don't see the point in it right now. I don't see the values in it right now. But love is never overrated, because family, like, if you don't love your family, or if you don't love like animals, if you don't love innocent things in life, it's not overrated. I would be upset if my success came at someone else's expense. It depends. I would never want my success to be based off the demise of someone else, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't mind if, I wouldn't care if that's a factor, if that person deserved it, but I wouldn't want it to be the basis of success for me. It sounds narcissistic, but I want my success to be based 100,000% based on me, you know? So I'm gonna put no. I wouldn't want that. Even if I was trying very hard to sell something, I wouldn't lie to get my way. I would. Like in applications and resumes, I lied all the time. Or at least I've like embezzled the truth. Embezzled?
She's talking about embezzle money. Embezzle, bitch. Embezzled? Embezzle? Well, what money did you embezzle? Embezzle? I done heard it all.
Like, I've kicked the truth up a notch to get a couple jobs. Like, I be trying to sell myself. Like, yeah, I could speak 3 languages, even though I barely can understand the third. Like, I wouldn't try very hard to not lie. I'm gonna say no, it doesn't apply to me, because I would be lying. I ended up in the same kinds of trouble time after time. All these questions are so subjective, but the way I interpreted it is basically like, in terms of the law, you've always managed to cause some kind of drama or trouble. No, I'm relatively safe from that, and that's only because I don't go outside. So I'm gonna say no, it doesn't apply at all to me, actually. Before I do anything, I carefully consider the possible consequences. Yes and no. I tend to be both an impulsive and very critical person. Sometimes my impulses lie with things I like. Like, with things I like, I'm very impulsive about it. I can't help it. But with things that I'm iffy about, or in between, or I don't necessarily like, I tend to think very hard about the consequences of that, because I'm not gonna enjoy doing this thing, so the consequences is not gonna be worth it, in my opinion. But if it's something I enjoy, I don't care about the consequences. Like, I'm gonna put it in between, yeah, in the middle for that answer. Question 14. Cheating isn't justified because it's unfair to others. Yeah, I don't believe in cheating. Like, it just seems so simple in my head. I feel like cheating is overly complicated. I'm not saying, oh, cheating makes you the scum of the earth. I don't really care enough about that. But I'm saying in general, why cheat when you can just break up with the person and then go be with whatever you want to be with? I don't understand. Like, but then there's another part of me who understands the certain complexities to the whole idea of cheating. Like, it's not just the act in itself. Sometimes it's something deeper. Yeah, I really don't think cheating is ever justified, because why overcomplicate something when you could just break up with that person? So I'm gonna say it's unfair to others. I definitely agree 1,000%. Looking out for myself is my top priority. It's only recently become my top priority. For most of my life, I haven't really cared about myself, and I usually cared about like my family. Like, that's been my number one, basically why I even want to do anything for myself, has always been as a kind of like a thank you to my family. But now recently it's become my top priority for sure. Like, I've been valuing more so what I want to do and my interests. So I'm gonna say yes, 1,000%. At least for this very moment, yeah. I'm probably gonna link this test down below, but if you take it, there's like so many ads. I enjoy manipulating other people's feelings. No, I don't, because I feel like when you manipulate a person's feeling, I feel like you don't get the satisfaction of it being genuine, because just by you manipulating that person, you've already set yourself up for failure, because it's like nothing that's reciprocated after that is genuine, because to get to it, you had to do something that wasn't genuine, if that makes sense. Like I prefer honesty and cold hard truths and facts. I saw a TikTok where this girl was basically talking about like tactics you can use to kind of gauge what type of person a person is, and it's almost borderline manipulative, but I could see the pros in the fact that it's like when you get hurt so many times, you kind of want to know whether or not this is worth your time, so you do little things to try to get more out of a person. But I don't think people find enjoyment in that, because you're doing it so you could be safe, so you could protect yourself. Personally, I don't enjoy it at all. I have never been in trouble with the law. Fortunately, I guess you could say, I've never been in trouble with the law. But who knows, because eventually I'm gonna have to start filing my own taxes. So if I just disappear off the face of YouTube, it's because the IRS have found me and I'm in behind bars. Anyways, I'm gonna say definitely no. I feel bad when my words or actions cause someone else emotional pain. Yes, I especially feel bad when it's not something that I actively tried to do. Recently, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not meant to feel guilty for everything that a person feels, because sometimes you just have to stand up for yourself, and hurting people's feelings do come in that process. Personally, I don't enjoy it though, because I used to be a person I really hate hurting a person's feelings. I would get my feelings hurt in order to keep a person from feeling bad and terrible. And the worst thing I can think of is a person coming to me and saying I did something unintentionally or unknowingly that really caused them emotional pain. And it really makes me sit back and feel like, oh gosh, I that's the worst part, because when you think you didn't mean to do something bad and it happens, it's like, well, shit. Am I horrible? Am I just a horrible person? So I really do feel bad. It definitely 1,000, 10,000 applies to me. I feel horrible when that happens. Next question. I feel justified doing whatever I can to succeed. Not whatever. Because realistically, there are other avenues that anybody on the earth, like, have your parents ever come to you and was like, oh my god, you're so lazy, why are you always in bed, why aren't you outside, why aren't you being an active participant of society? And you tell them, Mom, I could be doing drugs, I could be doing this. Like, there are so many other more nefarious avenues that people can take to succeed, and that I personally can take to succeed, but I've never feel like the ends would justify the means. So personally, I wouldn't do anything to succeed, so I don't think I would. Yeah, that doesn't apply to me at all. It's just so funny because I have Caribbean parents, so that's that's a big thing. Like, why aren't you doing anything at every given moment that you have? It's just so interesting how we all kind of live the same life. Anyway, question 20. People who get ripped off usually deserve it. No. Because I've gotten scammed and ripped off. And it's just because I was ignorant. But I learned, and I've never gotten scammed or stuff like that ever after. But I don't think anybody deserves to get ripped off, because it's the difference between knowing this is what's going to happen and then still taking part of it, and there's a difference between not knowing the person's intentions is to rip you off and then it happening. So I think you can't really fault a person for being ignorant to a person's intentions. Because how is the person supposed to know what's going on in your head? So I'm gonna say people who get ripped off usually deserve it. No. I let others worry about so-called higher values. My main concern is to get what I want. Because I have my own values that I wouldn't let a person, kind of get in between. My main concern is never just to get what I want. I don't know. Living for an end goal just is never my thing. So I'm gonna say, for sure not. I quickly lose interest in tasks that I start. Yes and no. I lose interest in tasks that I start impulsively. I lose interest in tasks that I start like off a whim. And sometimes when I feel like I've been pushed into a situation where I'm now forced to do this thing, like say for example, I start something off as a passion project, and then factors start aligning themselves where it becomes less of something I do because I love, but now because I'm obligated to. I think I mentioned in one of my videos how I won't even read a book if a person is forcing that book upon me. So I'm gonna say no. Yes, I'm gonna say in between. Like yes, but also no. So yeah. My main purpose in life is getting as many good things as I can. I have no purpose in life, actually. Like, my purpose in life is to find my purpose in life. So I'm gonna say no, but like hesitantly. A tentative no. I tell other people what they want to hear so that they will do what I want them to do. I tell people sometimes what they want to hear to make them feel better. I need to stop doing that. But sometimes I will tell a person what I feel like is beneficial for them in that moment. The whole fake it till you make it. For them to do what I want, no. Like, I can't think of anything more like than a person doing something not out of genuine kindness. Like, I don't care how rough or how crazy, for example, things would ever get. I would never want a person to ever do anything for me if it wasn't genuine. And I wouldn't try to push that on a person to do anything for me that's not genuine. Can you feel like you could trust a person who does something for you but not because they genuinely wanted to? I don't think I can ever trust a person like that. So I'm gonna say no. Making a lot of money is one of my most important goals. No, my most important goals right now is being happy. Although money does contribute to happiness. So money gives you like a peace of mind for you to find that happiness. But the type of issues that I have in terms of me being like there's a dark hole inside my chest is that I want to fill that shit with like happiness. So that's not my biggest goal, but I would say definitely it's up there because it contributes to happiness. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you're ever chasing your bag and a person's like, oh, you need to stop worrying about money, like it's not the thing that's gonna make you the happiest in life, please ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about. Number 26, I make a point of trying not to hurt others in pursuit of my goals. Yes, I'm actually as very low key about my goals as possible. I literally won't even say anything out of fear that I'm gonna offend a person. I'm getting better at it day by day and stuff like that, but like I would rather a person think I'm doing nothing than a person think that the reason why I've done a certain thing is to benefit myself. If that makes sense. I hope that made sense. 27 of 27. Success is about the survival of the fittest. I am not concerned about losers. I agree with the first sentence. Survival of the fittest. At a certain point in life, you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and really try your best to like see what's, But then again, like some people are losers not because they're losers, but because of everything that's been stacked up against them to fail regardless. Like they were basically conditioned to be the way they are. So it's like a yes and no answer. So I'm gonna put middle. Finish. Oh my gosh. Your results Okay, psychopathy spectrum test. You are 32.81% sociopathic, 45.45% impulsive, which makes you 14.26% more psychopathic than the population average. What? They have a definition of sociopath down below. It says sociopaths are characterized by interpersonal manipulativeness and deviance, as well as egocentricity, callousness, and the lack of remorse or guilt. Sociopaths are capable of employing glibness and superficial charm to cunningly use people. Oh, this is sounding more and more like Hannibal. But generally lack the impulsivity and overtly violent. No, Hannibal is a psychopath. Some of his stuff is very impulsive, but the way he's able to calculate how to go about the am I a fan? I think the charm comes in the fact that it's played by Mads Mikkelsen. He's such a great guy, a great actor. Psychopaths, they're characterized by both the interpersonal manipulativeness and callousness of sociopath, as well as the anger, disinhibited behavior, and emotional dysregulation of the impulsive personality. This combination of deviance, cunning, and aggression results in individuals who are truly among the most dangerous and volatile people. Yeah, but like I mentioned earlier, if you do fall on the spectrum of psychopathy, please don't take this anti-personality disorder as being the end-all be-all of whether or not a person is a deviant or a menace to society. Although someone who I'm pretty sure is a psychopath is Ezra Miller. Guys, I made a video about him and like things just got 10 times worse every single time I see him in the headlines. What the heck is going on? Based on the results, I'm only 14.26% more psychopathic than the population average. You know what I find interesting? I feel like a psychopath, if they were to take this test, you know, and be disingenuous, would pass this test with flying colors. I think they would be able to manipulate it enough, just enough where they don't fall too high up on the spectrum, but just enough where they don't fall too low on the spectrum where it's like, oh, you did it intentionally, you weren't being honest. Oh, so this is like where my head goes. I feel like a real psychopath would be able to like manipulate the answers to our liking. Like, can you imagine Hannibal taking this test? He would be like, what? In general, I just feel like it's very interesting. And something that I've recently been considering, and I'm not saying psychopaths or people who are crazy or anything, but when I think about craziness, I'm like, everybody in this earth is a little bit crazy. I think it's harder for a person to try to act like they're not crazy than being crazy, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, I wrote a quote in like just, it was just a quote I was thinking about, and I just wanted to share it with you guys because I think it kind of puts my perspective on it all in one. And it says, this is what I wrote. I really think I'm deep sometimes. I'm not. It says, I found that it's much harder being insane and pretending not to be. And well, I'm already stressed as it is. Why add more? Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day, evening. Damn. I hope you're having an amazing day, evening, or night, wherever you are. I hope the vibes are good. Bye, guys.